Okay, so we're going to be recording this just so that we can share on social media. So if you prefer to be to not have your face on, you can of course turn off your camera. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is going to be a half-an-hour workshop on unleashing the power of AI in healthcare, a workshop for doctors. Let's get started. Just if you can, thank you. Okay, so this is going to be our agenda today. If we're going to start with a brief introduction. If you already know what AI is, you can tune out a bit and come back when we are talking about the practical applications. We'll talk about what is AI and how it works. We'll give a short introduction to what is ChatGPT, which is the tool that we usually use at FutureFounder, the importance of AI in the future, and some practical applications of AI in your industry. So we have a lot to cover. Let's get started. Just can you go to the next? Thank you. So let's start by asking, I want to ask everybody if you already know what AI is. So what is artificial intelligence? Feel free to open your mic and participate, or you can write out in the chat what you know is artificial intelligence. Any participants willing? Or I will call on someone. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have somewhere in the chat that says it's software that can make decisions. That's a good guess, actually. I would really say that it cannot make decisions. That's a very good thing to say, so thank you. The main thing I want you to learn and take away from this, if you don't learn anything else, is that the AI shouldn't be making any final decisions. You're the human, you're the one with experience. The AI doesn't make any decisions, you do. And we have also Jocelyn here in the chat that comments that it's a helper. Yeah, I love that definition. So it can help you with a lot of your daily tasks that may take up a lot of your work. Great work. Good job. Let's go to the next slide. So next, why do we want to use AI? You may think, this is too complicated for me. It's for people who know a lot about computers and are very technologically advanced. And you would be wrong. I feel like AI is one of those things that if you want to go very, very deep, it's very complicated, but using it is not that complicated, which we'll see today. I would say the three main reasons it's important to learn how to use AI is because it's one of the top demanded skills nowadays. People will see it on your CV and want to hire you. Because of the same thing, it'll give you a competitive advantage in case you're looking for a new job or you want to advance in your career. And likewise, it helps you future-proof your career. So you're learning skills that are going to be in demand in the future. So let's go to the next one. Okay, and now I'll give you some basic, these are some basic things that AI can do for you. It can help you automate repetitive tasks. It can help you free up your time so you can increase your own innovation, and it can help you enhance your current skills. But I don't want to tell you something generic. I want to make it as personalized to you as possible. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do this activity as a group, which is called a Menti. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so now if you have a device with you, so a phone or an iPad, or you can even do it in your own computer that you're logged in, you're going to either scan this QR code or click on this link that we have here in the chat. What's going to pop up is a question for you. The question is, what manual task do you perform at work that you find tiring and time-consuming? So I want you to, in the answers, put in the 3 tasks that you find most tiring and time-consuming at work. Go ahead, please. Feel free. It can be something that's very medical and doctor related, and I'll do my best to work on it, or it can be something general in your job that you don't like. So go ahead, please vote with the code, or you can send it in the chat, or you can open your mic if you'd prefer. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes, like some 30 seconds. Okay, we have some answers here. So there's a couple of people saying planning team building, dictating charts. Oh, interesting. Entering patient into system, writing automated system messages, planning team building. Okay, interesting. Write notes for meetings. These, okay, I'm going to say, and we have someone in the chat saying gathering patient data. Okay, great. Write automated messages. Okay, so these are the three things. Let's keep these 6 things in mind. I'm going to take a screenshot of them. And let's see how we can maybe use AI to help us with some of these. Before we go into how to do this with ChatGPT, let me even go one step further, go one step before, and let me show you what ChatGPT looks like. But just can you share the screen for a sec? Let's first talk about what is ChatGPT. Perfect. Okay, so AI can mean a lot of things. So I want to keep in mind that AI can be anything. I'm sure you've heard of millions of applications. It can be for video, for audio, for pictures, for writing. But at today's workshop, we're going to focus on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a natural language processing tool. This means that it's meant to act like a natural language. So it's like a conversation. You ask it things and it tells you things. No complication. And it has AI technology in the background. What it basically is it'll answer your questions and assist you with tasks. So let's see what this looks like in real life. So Jocelyn, I'm going to take the sharing of the screen from you, but here we go. So to use this ChatGPT, I would go to my browser and write chat.openai.com. OpenAI is just the group that made ChatGPT. So as you can tell, it's asking me to log in. It'll ask me to log in. In this case, it's with my Google account. Okay, so here we go. This is ChatGPT. So I want you to notice a couple of things. Here on the left, whenever it loads, we're going to see the different chats, and all of them have the history and of everything that I've written in that chat. So, for example, I don't want to show you an example, but what is useful about using these chats is that inside each chat, it will remember what the user said earlier in the conversation, which is one of its capabilities. This is useful because you can have a chat for every thing that you want. Let's say that you can have a chat for emails to your boss because you always want to use a professional tone with them. And maybe you can have a chat with emails to your coworkers, and that's a completely different tone. And it remembers certain pieces of information which come in handy later. So, and this is what it looks like. The main thing that I want to tell you is here is where you would write your prompt. And it'll answer you back. Today I just wrote hello. And I want you to, one last thing that I want to say about this in this brief overview is I want you to notice the limitations. This is very important. AI is not magical. It won't solve all of our problems. ChatGPT has its limitations. One of them is that it may occasionally generate incorrect information, especially in the medical industry. You have to make sure that you're double checking your information, either with yourself, another doctor, or a reliable source. You can help it to help you. So you can use ChatGPT to help you organize or kind of create a system, but it has to be a person or a reliable source that checks it. Another thing that it does, another limitation of ChatGPT is that it'll occasionally produce harmful instructions or biased content. Usually what that means is that it's biased towards certain things. So if you ask it something political, it may lean towards more liberal or etc. It's not truly neutral. So it's something to be aware of. And last, it has a limited knowledge of the world events after 2021. So this is not maybe super important in case you're, I don't know, investigating something about dengue that we've had 200 years of research about it, as an example. But if you're trying to research COVID, it won't have as much information. So just for you to be aware of that. Okay, and just can you share the screen for a bit once more? Thank you. Can we go to the next? Okay, so we just saw what ChatGPT looks like. We'll get to practice with it and use it a little bit, so don't worry. But I want to give you an idea of all of the things ChatGPT can do for you. Like you just saw, it's a language tool. So its specialization, they'll say the thing it does the most is writing. So I would basically go about and tell you that you can use it for anything that can help, that's related to checking spelling and grammar, or it can help you with some research that you have to double check, but it can help you with those sources. It can also help you brainstorm and come up with things that you hadn't thought about before. It's not really that it's inventing them, it's kind of just putting together everything that already exists in the internet. And it can even help you to automate. This last one is a little bit more complicated, but we can delve into it a bit. So just can you go to, thank you. Okay, so the best that I can give you, the easiest way that you can start with ChatGPT is with writing. For example, I did see that someone in the chat said that one of the things that is hardest for them is to write notes from meetings. I completely agree. It's very exhausting. I don't know how you do it, but usually, depending on what you use, you may have to take notes manually and just be paying attention, or you may have something that gives you a transcript and then you have to summarize. That can ChatGPT can help you with that. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and let's look at some of the things that use writing and in general so that we can look at some examples. So I don't have any meeting notes to summarize, but no, wait, I actually do, but no. So let's see an example of something that I can summarize. So help me. No, I don't have anything to summarize. So let's start with something different. So I'm going to write a sentence. And I wanted to check my grammar. So is this grammatically correct? So I'm asking it if this is correct. I went yesterday to the bakery. We already know that it's going to say no, but let's see what it says. So it's telling me that the sentence is not grammatically correct, okay? And it's also going to give me, and it tells me, this is what I should say. I went yesterday to the bakery. Okay, so that was a pretty simple. Let's go with something a little bit more complex. Let's say that I want the same sentence. I went yesterday to the bakery, but I'm going to write an email for my boss. So I want to make it more formal. So I'm going to say, help me write this sentence in a very formal business-like tone. Okay, so this is what okay, and I want something longer, something even more formal. Okay, and it gives me yesterday I embarked on a purposeful excursion to the esteemed bakery, wherein I indulged in an enlightening visitation. Maybe this one is a little bit too much, so I'll cut it down. Um, okay, and it's still kind of just as long, but I want you to get the idea how you can, it's not just, it's going to give you one answer and that's the correct one, but rather you have to play with it a little bit. You have to keep engaging with it for it to give you exactly what you want. Now, let's try something more geared towards the medical industry. Let's say, um, I do remember we had in our chat, oh, I have it right here, to enter patients into system. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think ChatGPT can help with that. For right now, it's manual. I hope someone makes it up. Let's do this one about planning team building. I like this one. This can be for doctors. Let's say, so I am planning a team building for my group of doctors this weekend. And I would like a couple, would like it if you, for team building activities. So I'm going to ask it to give me some team building activities, some ideas. Oh, okay. So it's suggesting that maybe I could do a case study challenge, or an emergency simulation exercise. Ooh, a problem-solving escape room. Okay, so it's giving me several. Let's say maybe, okay, I want to do this medical quiz competition. That sounds kind of interesting. Okay, I like this medical quiz competition. My team is made of, give me a hematologist. Please give me a couple of questions for this quiz competition. And let's see what it comes up with. Okay, and it's giving me like, I'm not a doctor and I can already kind of tell some of these are a little basic. Well, no, this first one is a little basic. And let's say I'm gonna choose some. So I liked number 4, I like number 6. So I'm going to decide from these, and I'm going to choose them and I'm going to put them in a document. And that's how ChatGPT already helped me solve like at least 30 minutes of thinking, what am I going to do? So that's one way that you can brainstorm with it and you can get that team building. Let's say that now I want to, so I have, let's talk about another one of our challenges. Writing automated messages. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it can definitely, ChatGPT can definitely help you. I can imagine this automated message is maybe an email or a message that you send a lot. Something that I can imagine is like, I want to check up on my diabetes patient. I have to check in with them once a week. Can you help me draft a message? Let's see. Okay, and it gives me a subject. Dear, as you're part of your ongoing diabetes care, I wanted to check in with you and see how you're managing your condition. Okay, so it's asking, something that I want you to notice how it uses what I wrote about diabetes and inputs it in the message. So I said that my patient has diabetes. So it's asking about specific diabetes related things, no? About the blood sugar level. Have you been monitoring them? About if they've been sticking to their medication or insulin regimen. For example, here, this one seems a little generic because your doctor, you would know if they have a prescribed medication or insulin. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT to fix this a little bit. So I'll say, my patient does not have prescribed medications. They only take insulin. Right, I wrote it wrong. Okay, so now it's going to change it so that I don't talk about prescribed medications anymore. It's only going to talk about insulin. Aha, exactly. Okay. And it's made it more specific. And this is for just one example of the things that it can help you write. Now for the last thing I want to talk about before I talk about other tools that are in ChatGPT is I want to mention how this tool can also give you feedback. So this email, ChatGPT wrote it, but let's use it as an example. So I want to ask it for feedback. So I'll say something like, I am writing an email to a patient of mine. I want you to give me constructive feedback on this email. So I want you to notice that I asked it specifically for constructive feedback, because usually if I ask it just for feedback, it's going to say only good things. So usually if you ask for constructive feedback, it'll give you a little bit more on what you need to work on. For example, I liked here that it says that my email is well structured, and it gives a couple of suggestions, like personalizing the opening, reinforcing the importance of self-monitoring. And all of these are suggestions that ChatGPT is doing. You can decide to take them or leave them, just like you do with feedback from any time. And one last that I want to mention, because I know this is difficult, this is a big thing for doctors. I know that it's common that you'll have to transcribe notes and then kind of make a summary of everything that you've done, like that you'll have like a machine and you write into it to take all of your patient notes, and then it'll have to transcribe it. ChatGPT, let's ask it how it can make a summary of notes. So I have audio from patients, and I want to, I have audio notes about my patients. And I want to transcribe them and summarize them. And this is kind of one of the magical things of ChatGPT. If you don't know how to use it or what to do, it can help. Like, you can ask it and it'll give you a couple of suggestions. So for example, here to make a summary of those audio notes, it suggests to first convert the audio notes to text, which you can use as speech to text transcription tool. So ChatGPT can't do that for you, but something else can. Let's say that, for example, I don't know any speech to text transcription tools. So I'm going to ask it. So what are some speech? I even copied it. So I'm going to ask it, what are some speech to text transcription tools online? And it's going to give me here a list of resources, and you can go ahead and check them individually. And maybe that's how you can get your notes. So we have 4 more minutes. Just, can you help me sharing the screen? I want to talk very quickly about a couple of other tools that are really great for that and that use AI as well. Can we go to the next one? Thank you. Oh, these are actually prompts that you can use to enhance your writing. Like, these are a couple of suggestions. I'm going to take a screenshot of this one and download it and send it to everyone by email in case you don't know where to get started. This is a good place to start. So can we go to the next one? Okay, so I'm going to very quickly talk about 3 tools that also use AI that I particularly love. We'll dive into these more in depth in other workshops, so stay tuned. So next slide, please. Okay, so this one is the tool that when we first talked about notes and meeting notes, my brain just went, well, let's talk about Crisp. Crisp is an app that was originally created to block out background noise for when you're in a meeting, but now it has this amazing AI tool that will transcribe everything that you talk about in your notes. It's actually very good transcription. And after your meeting, if your meeting was in English, you can have the option to summarize your meeting, and it'll even give you action items and what people talked about. It's one of the best that we've found. So if what you would like help with is transcribing and meetings and notes, I would recommend Crisp. Next slide. Okay, this next one, there is a free version, but I have to tell you that the free version doesn't have the AI, but just I warn you about that. This mem is basically a hub for all of your notes, and it's basically a hub for all of your notes. I am a person that loves to take notes, and what it does is that it will, with the AI, it associates different information with what you're writing. So let's say maybe you'll be writing about Jocelyn, and it'll remind you like, oh, in an email about Jocelyn 6 months ago, you talked about blah, 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 blah. So it'll help you organize your workflow. And can we go to the next one? Oh, and last one, this one is also very amazing. I think it's especially good for doctors. It'll create guides and documents and documentation while you work. So let's say that you have this system to input patient data, and it's super nitty gritty, detailed, and it's difficult to train someone else on how to use it. Tango is what I would suggest, because you start it and it'll capture like all of those, like an image of everything that you're doing, all of the steps and the process, so that the next person can just learn with the guide. You don't need to do it every time. And that's it. I've honestly loved this, and it's great for training new people. Can we go to the next screen? Okay, and last, I do want to leave you with a bit of a word of warning, not a word of warning, but something very important about AI is learning how to use it. Like it can be a great tool, or it can be a detriment depending on how you use it. One of the major things to remember is to use AI in a way that is ethical. So especially as a doctor, you cannot share any private information of a patient. For example, you can obviously say, I have a patient that has diabetes, but don't say, my patient Juan Manuel, who lives in Argentina and is 25 years old, because even though it's a private company, like that information is public in ChatGPT. So making sure that you're not saying anything that will identify your patient and break that doctor-patient confidentiality. And the most important is that ethical decision making. You, as a human, are the one that takes the final decision. AI gives you suggestions. It can give you a couple of ideas, but you are the final filter. And I want to open up the forum now for if there's any final questions or anything else that you want to know. You can feel free to open up your mic or say a question in the chat. Okay, so I guess, wait. Okay, how can I check? Oh, okay, that is a great question. Thank you. So someone asked in the chat, how can I check or verify if the AI is factual? That's a great question. So what I would do is I would check it, whatever it says. So if I'm looking for facts or figures or statistics or like hard facts, I would take whatever AI says and double check with a reputable source. So let's say that AI says that for cholera, you should take paracetamol. I would check in whatever is reputable medically so that it can tell you. Like, yes, paracetamol is good for this. Not just take its word. Last, Jocelyn is asking, can AI help with organizing data? That's a good question. I would actually say yes, but I don't think ChatGPT it's meant, well, you can, but not necessarily with ChatGPT. I would suggest other things like maybe Power BI or Excel has its own AI that they're implementing nowadays. So in conclusion, yes, but not using ChatGPT. And last, Susan, one question. Do the questions need to be very specific or can you use keywords? Hey, that's a great question. Actually, you have to be, for these prompts and these keywords, you have to be very, very specific. And it does have, you do have to write it out like you're talking to a human. So if you just say like summarize information, it won't understand you. Like you really have to write it out and be as precise as possible. We've experimented quite a lot about this. And if you're just vague, like write an email for my patients, it'll give you something that it's not really useful. You have to be really quite specific. And yeah, exactly. Thank you, just for reminding me. There is a LinkedIn newsletter about ChatGPT on the FutureFounder account, and we will be having more workshops. Our next one is actually, it's called AI Workshop 101. So if you still feel like, wow, I still feel like I'm a beginner and I want more to know more, like in depth, you can come to that workshop. So we're a little bit above the time, but I think it's okay. Does anyone else have any last questions that they really, really want to know? Hey, I'm glad it was helpful and interesting anytime. And if you have any feedback on how we can make it even more useful, we'd love to hear that any day. So let's go to the last slide, which is a conclusion. Thank you. And if no one else has any more questions, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. And we'll see you hopefully in other workshops soon. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.